Hey guys, I'm Tom the Tech Chap, and I've been holding off on making this video for a little while now because I felt like I needed to spend more time with the Fold 2 and not just rush out a review. And that's because I think as much as I do genuinely love this thing, I probably wouldn't buy it. Even though I actually did. This isn't a review sample, I bought this one myself for the slightly eye-watering price of £1,800 or $2,000. And really just so I could give you guys this sort of full, more comprehensive review of it. So if you do appreciate that and you do find this video helpful, then it would be amazing if you could hit that little like and subscribe button below. So I've been using this guy for about a month now, and the first thing I'll say is that it really is a pretty big upgrade over the original Fold. Here's one I made earlier. And straight away you can just see, even from a design point of view, it's a lot nicer. The bezels are thinner and almost flush now with the bigger 7.6-inch screen. The ugly plasticky corner cutout has been replaced with a single hole punch camera. The front cover screen is now also much bigger, which was actually my biggest criticism of the first one. And just the whole design feels more like a folding Note 20 Ultra. Plus there's the usual camera upgrades and faster hardware on the inside. So as you would expect, given the price, this is a proper flagship phone with a Snapdragon 865, which is actually a rare thing in a Samsung phone here in the UK, 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, a smoother 120Hz adaptive main screen, although the cover screen is still 60Hz, 5G, triple camera setup on the back, which is similar to the Note 20 Ultra, although not quite as good, frustratingly. It does pretty much everything you'd need, but I have to say, coming from the Note 20 Ultra, I wouldn't have minded having an S Pen with this. It feels like it would have worked quite well. Anyway, what's it actually like to use? Well, firstly, this is a big phone. When it's folded, it's about 17mm thick, and it also weighs 282 grams, so it's a bit of a chunky monkey. But when it's in your pocket, it's the height that you really notice. In fact, the new 6.23-inch cover screen has a 25:9 aspect ratio. That's the tallest screen on any phone as far as I'm aware. So even 21:9 movies have letterboxing. And while it is much better than the first Fold, it's still incredibly narrow. Everything looks kind of tiny, and it also means typing can get quite frustrating. Plus it is a bit of a shame that we only get 60Hz on the cover, but 120Hz inside. You'll also notice that the textures on the screens are actually different because on the front we get Gorilla Glass Victus, that's their new name for Gorilla Glass 7, so it's a proper glass screen, whereas on the inside we have this plastic screen protector that's sort of built into the screen, and you can feel and also see the difference. It just feels kind of gross and plasticky, like you can actually push it in with your nail. It's just like the original Fold, and the crease is just as obvious as well, although you do tend to forget about it pretty quickly. I appreciate it probably makes the tablet screen more durable, but going between the two does feel a bit jarring. Now so far for me, I reckon it's about a 50-50 split between using the cover screen and the main tablet. And generally, if I'm replying to a WhatsApp, checking emails, or using it as I'm on the go, I'll use the cover screen, and while swiping is easier than typing a message, it's just so narrow and small it's not ideal. Although I must say I do appreciate having the side fingerprint reader, which doubles as the power button. Well, that's kind of creepy. But I think the main issue for me with the Fold, although I will get to the fun stuff in a minute, I promise, is it's kind of like a Goldilocks phone, but in a bad way. The front screen is too small, but the tablet screen is too big. There isn't just that sort of happy medium like a regular phone screen. Which is why I think after this review, I'm probably going to switch back to my Note 20 Ultra. But hold up, I'm getting ahead of myself, because this genuinely is a lovely phone/tablet thing. So you basically have an Android tablet in your pocket, and with the new 120Hz screen, it's fast, noticeably faster than the first Fold, and overall just lovely to use. Firing up a bit of Call of Duty, or any game really, well, there's just nothing else out there quite like this, and as I mentioned, not having the Exynos 990 chip in here is a nice bonus as well. However, as lovely as the big screen experience is in games, Google Maps, looking at your photos in the gallery, dare I say even scrolling through TikTok, it's not perfect. The square-ish aspect ratio means you have big black bars when watching videos or movies. Instagram still doesn't fill up the whole screen. It is better than before. On the first Fold it basically just made stories unusable, although actually still on the cover screen stories do get cut off at the edges. But while it definitely works on here, it all just feels a little bit unoptimized. It does feel very futuristic though when an app seamlessly transitions from the front cover screen to the main tablet. That is very cool. You can have up to 3 apps at once on the screen if you're a multitasking pro, plus there's wireless DeX support, but I'm a bit old-fashioned and tend to just enjoy having one big app open that fills the whole screen. Now, one thing I love about the Fold 2 is that they've added the flex mode features which Samsung first introduced on the Galaxy Flip. It does only work in a few apps like the camera, the gallery and YouTube, so you can read and write comments while watching a video, which is pretty cool, but it's a shame that more apps don't utilize this. Although it does come in handy for the camera. So on my recent trip to this beautiful place called Stourhead with my wife Sarah, I was actually able to use the Fold in flip mode, which not only meant it could act as its own stand, so no tripod required, but I could then line up a photo, set a timer, and then jump in the frame. Speaking of Sarah, she absolutely loves the fact that you can actually use the front cover screen as a viewfinder for the camera. So when I'm taking a photo of her, or if she's taking one of me because I'm complaining I haven't posted anything on Instagram for ages, it's so useful that you can basically see yourself and then you can make sure your hair's not weird or the background's way off. And then you can take a good picture instead of the million pictures that I usually have to take, of which none of them are quite right. I know it's kind of shallow, but this is genuinely one of my favorite features of the Fold. And it also means you can take selfies with the good quality rear cameras, including the ultra-wide, which is a big bonus. So let's talk about these cameras. And on the front, we have a 10 megapixel selfie camera. And then if we open it up, we have another one at the top right here, which is exactly the same 10 megapixel as the front one. I guess it's another selfie, although generally I don't tend to use that a whole lot. And then on the back, if I switch around, we have a triple 12 megapixel camera setup with a main, ultra wide, and a 2x telephoto lens. The cameras are great, but it's a little bit disappointing that in every other respect, this is Samsung's super high-end, all singing, all dancing phone, yet the Note 20 Ultra does have a slightly better camera setup, with a 108 megapixel main lens and a much higher 5x optical zoom and up to 50x space zoom. Most of the time, the image quality is neck and neck though. It's really only the zoom where the Fold falls behind, which I don't think is that big of a deal. And actually the plus of using the rear cameras for selfies or for, Instagram stories is actually more useful to me. But even if it's not the best of the best camera, just viewing the photos back on this screen is glorious. I feel like maybe I finally understand why people take photos on their iPads. I don't like it, but maybe I understand it. Now, one question I get asked a lot is, do I think this is going to break? Well, firstly, 100,000 billion% put a case on it because, well, firstly, it's a $2,000 phone, so come on. But also it does actually make it more comfortable to hold because it can get quite slippery, so definitely put a case on it. But to be honest with you, I've been using this for a month. I've not had any issues, and actually, where is it gone? Wait, it's right here. The original Fold I've had for a year now, also no issues, so I wouldn't really worry about it. Also surprisingly, I never worried about battery life. I just about get 2 full days out of this, and I usually have around 40% of my battery left at the end of a normal day. And based on how I use this, I'm getting about 6 hours of screen on time. And I think it does help that the 120Hz screen is adaptive, which is the same as the Note 20 Ultra, so depending on what you're doing on screen, it can actually drop and therefore save battery. So overall, I really do like the idea of the Fold, and this is a big refinement over the original. And I think if you do have very deep pockets and you want a folding phone, for the first time, I actually would recommend buying it. But for me at least, as I've mentioned, I think I'd rather go with the Note 20 Ultra, which I appreciate isn't really the same thing, and you are losing that wow factor and, the fancy flex modes with this, but I think the Note is just more practical, and also, as I say, a lot cheaper as well. But what do you reckon? Would you be tempted to buy one of these, assuming you have a spare $2,000 in your pocket? Let me know in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure you hit that little subscribe button below. I've got loads more videos coming out. It is Techtober after all, so do stay tuned. And I'll see you guys next time right here on the Tech Chat.